freedom, oh, freedom, oh, freedom.
I have the pleasure to present to you Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr.
Happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. Years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. This nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will they be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream. My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
To become an international human rights lawyer, a defender with wild, exuberant academic and professional discourse to problem-solving principles that address the complex situation, including civil and fundamental rights. My deeper understanding of such rights made me fully understand the history, importance, and challenges of implementing the international human rights instruments, norms, and principles since the cold Second World War. It made me aware that state parties to the international human rights are obliged to comply with their commitments to signing and ratifying the treaties, including excellent knowledge of the human rights related conventions and declarations, as well as the mandate of the International Criminal Court. having worked with the ICC in Uganda since 2006 to try individuals rather than states and to hold them accountable for the most serious crimes of concern to the international community, that is genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity, and eventually the crime of aggression. The teaching of Reverend Mother Luther King made me recognize that the UN has a primary role in maintaining peace and security as stipulated in the Charter of the United Nations, with institutions like the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights and the Human Rights Council that are established to ensure effective and efficient implementation of the human rights instruments, as well as excellent knowledge of the operations of Special Proceedings Advisory Committee, complaints procedure expert mechanism in the rights of individual people, and forum for the minority issues. Also, as an honor speaking during the Mother Luther King Jr. Memorial is commensurate with my contribution to African integration, providing generations of leaders with knowledge, experience, and collective understanding that will enable us most to realize the dream of a unified, peaceful, and prosperous African continent, including civil and fundamental rights. Currently, at the time of its founding of Mother Luther King Jr.'s teaching and his legacy remains ready to make us renew the African generations of women and men capable of transforming of social, economic, and political discontinuity of right ideal continent, as well as the relation with the rest of the world and respect for the protection and promotion of social, fundamental, and civil rights. I and the persons who are present here are such leaders. Therefore, I will continue enhancing African integration, including strengthening innovation between African Americans and the whole world as a catalyst for scalable and transformation, global peace, justice, and fundamental civil rights. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Barrister Achan. I would now introduce the second guest. She is Her Royal Highness, Queen Ameenata of the USA. She is the Saraunia of the Fulbe Ashanti tribe in Ghana. She's also an award-winning entrepreneur and Pan-Africanist, helping to connect the African diaspora back home to Africa. Your Highness, ma'am.
There we go. Thank you very much. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you to Dr. Yewande for graciously inviting me, and to Her Excellency Shanta for the invitation. I'm very humbled and pleased. For my 5 minutes, I want to touch on a quote that I learned from Dr. King probably at the age of 10. And that quote says, "Don't allow anyone to make you feel that you are nobody. Always you count. Always feel that you have worth, and always feel that your life resonated with me is because I was born just outside of the civil rights movement. At the age of 6, my parents moved our family to an all-Caucasian neighborhood. We were the first in our school. It was very, very rough, and it was hard, and we weren't treated like we should be treated, like everyone else on.
Queen Ameenata, I think we might have a bad connection. Are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yes.
Oh, and it's the reason says it was when Dr. King was speaking. that we all, that our life matters.
Your Excellency, Queen Ameenata.
I believe she may have a bad connection.
Okay. We have in the chat the link to the speakers' LinkedIn profiles, if that will help. So you can go to the chat now and find the link to the speakers for today, and you can connect with them to learn more about them and their work. It seems.
While we wait for Her Highness to reconnect, could we go to Dr. Sebastian?
Okay. Yes, it seems she's cut off now. Don't know why that's happening. Sorry for that. I would let the third guest speak, and later Her Highness can come back. Hopefully she can rejoin. Dr. Sebastian C. Kopulande of Zambia is a former Member of Parliament for the National Assembly of Zambia. He is a Rhodes Scholar, the CEO of Zambian International Trade and Investment Center, and a founding member of Vision Africa, an organization dedicated to promoting long-term development and prosperity in Africa by Africans. Dr. Sebastian Kopulande, over to you, sir. Can you unmute yourself, sir?
Apologies for that. Yes, thank you very much. To start with, let me thank the International Human Rights Commission for organizing this event in memory of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and for giving me this rare honor and privilege to speak at this auspicious occasion. During his time, Dr. King Jr. fought for the rights of black people, as he brilliantly articulated in his famous I Have a Dream speech, delivered during the March on Washington on 28 August 1963. In his speech, Dr. King called for the emancipation of black people who deserve justice and equal rights, just as other people, white people included. Today is 60 years since that epoch-making speech was delivered. This was a speech that has been recognized as a defining moment of the civil rights movement and the most iconic of speeches in American history. We are here today to celebrate the life of a legend, the life of a man I would call a leader extraordinaire, who had the courage, at the risk of his own life, to challenge the establishment of the day and to demand for his people that which was rightfully theirs, the right to civil liberties, justice, and equality. The memory of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. should always be a time for thorough introspection, especially amongst leaders of black people, particularly in Africa. The challenge that I now throw to you all is simply this. To what extent are we living to realize the dream of Dr. King? How far under our leadership have we gone in delivering the full emancipation of our people? How much civil liberties have we granted to our people? How far do we guarantee social and economic rights and justice? Today, the majority of our people in Africa face debilitating levels of poverty, unjustifiably so, in a continent with the highest levels of resource endowment. Africa must now rise, unite, and declare a single African resource pool that will be exploited for the benefit of its own people and not for the benefit of multinational corporations that only leave our people exploited and impoverished when we have the inalienable right to these resources. Africans on the continent and those in the diaspora must invest in the continent to build infrastructure and add value to our natural and agricultural resources. To achieve this, Africa must now open its borders to grant dual citizenship to its children in the diaspora and grant them their ancestral right to African residence and full access to African resources in any country of their preference on the continent. This is what will end hunger and poverty on the continent and restore human dignity to those of our people faced with dehumanizing levels of poverty. We, both on the continent and in the diaspora, have sufficient knowledge, capital, and skill sets that can turn Africa around from poverty to full-blown prosperity beyond the so-called first world. As Dr. King said, there is no time for gradualism and procrastination. Now is the time to move and make deliberate policies to achieve a united and prosperous Africa. Indeed, the hour has come. If indeed all men are made equal, as Dr. King said, then in order to realize the dream, we on the African continent and the diaspora should come together to bring to life the virtues of human rights as promulgated by Dr. King. As a people, we need to look inside ourselves and eliminate the enemy within in order to deliver human rights for our people on the continent. We need to examine our human rights obligations and response towards socio-economic emancipation so as to eliminate poverty, hunger, miseducation, and insecurity, as well as improving the status of our people's health. The dream of Dr. King was all-encompassing in as far as guaranteeing decent human living conditions for Black people and should therefore serve as our blueprint. As I conclude, in my view, it is only a thriving economy of a united Africa
It seems we lost him. Not sure what's...
All right.
Yeah, we can hear you now, sir.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We can hear you now. We lost you for about 3 seconds.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay. Thank you. As I conclude, I must state that it is my view that only a thriving economy of a united Africa, driven by Africans for the benefit of Africans, can effectively end poverty on the continent.
I think you may have muted yourself, Ambassador.
You're muted, sir. Yes. I think Dr. Kopulande has finished his speech. Maybe that's why we're not hearing anything more now. I must say thank you, Barrister Evelyn Achan, Your Royal Highness Queen Ameenata, and Dr. Sebastian Kopulande. For those who are meeting them for the first time, the links are in the chat. Please try your best to connect with them. I'm sure they're open to discussion so that we can have a full day, hopefully, when each of the speakers, can give us their thoughts and ways forward. I must say thank you from International Human Rights Commission for honoring this invitation. Most importantly, on behalf of International Human Rights Commission Secretary General, and every other volunteer in the International Human Rights Commission. We really appreciate your support because we know that you probably charge for your speaking roles, but we are grateful that you have come here today to honor this day and also honor International Human Rights Commission. You've accepted us the way we are by volunteering to speak for Martin Luther King's memorial, and we've been able to provide endorsements, International Human Rights Commission endorsements for all our speakers today as a way of saying thank you. We'll come back to our speakers again, and we'll have to take a message from our poet now. Poet Patrick Duncan is an acclaimed poet based in Lithonia, Georgia, USA. He is here today to grace us with one of the sentimental and thought-provoking poems. Please welcome poet Patrick Duncan. I hope he's here with us today.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I want to thank Miss Shanta Hereford for inviting me and being on this amazing day to honor one of my heroes, Dr. King. And I want to take this opportunity to share with you a poem of unity, and it's titled Why. Why is the only time we can come together as a nation is when there are acts of insanity, chaos, or devastation? Why can't we love and respect each other on a daily basis, ignoring social status, religion, sexual preferences, and color of faces? Why can't we embrace each other's differences like we embrace God? And why is it the only time I see the God in you is when my life gets hard? Why can't we all live our lives as though we were sisters and brothers? And why do we seem to be so comfortable disrespecting each other? Why can't we spread humanity like we spread rumors? And why can't we seek a cure for inequality like we seek a cure for cancerous tumors? Same passion, same resources, same sense of urgency. Well, our togetherness continue to only be in pain. And will racial harmony continue to elude us like desert rain? Will we someday live in a society that's too compassionate to hate? Or will ignorance and intolerance continue to be the environment we create? Will America's heart one day be healed so that her children no longer have to cry? Or will we forever live in mourning, asking ourselves, why?
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Those were uplifting words for, if you took time, I'm sure our poets will be able to give us a day, so we can actually learn those uplifting words. It is true that there's inequality, and unfortunately it's happening everywhere, even up till this day. Thank you, poet Patrick Duncan.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, as we gather today to celebrate the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., we are honored to have Her Excellency, Madam Ambassador Shanta Lana Hereford, join us as our keynote speaker. Madam Ambassador Hereford is not only a mother, grandmother, award-winning entrepreneur, philanthropist, and global goodwill ambassador, but also a leader in promoting equality, diversity, and inclusivity. Sorry, I'm reading from here. In our global society, Madam Ambassador Hereford has dedicated herself to helping underrepresented communities develop, implement, and execute growth strategies and solutions that level the playing field. Madam Ambassador Hereford is also a champion for equal access to social capital, using her knowledge and experiences to empower underrepresented founders and entrepreneurs to access crowdfunding opportunities. Furthermore, she has been a key figure in various initiatives that are building bridges between the African diaspora and continent of Africa. Madam Ambassador Hereford's achievements, including being a 3-time nominee of the Stone Mountain Business Person of the Year Award, a 2021 FIGHR Sustainable Communities Award nominee, a 2022 World Association of Women Warriors Business Excellence recipient, 2022 Global Women in Leadership Award recipient, and many others, are a testament to her impact and dedication to creating a more equitable and just society. We are honored to have her with us today as we reflect on the powerful message of Dr. King and strive to continue his legacy of creating a more just and equal world for all. Please give a warm round of applause for Her Excellency Madam Ambassador Shanta Lana Hereford. She will be speaking for about 25 minutes.
Grand Rising, and actually it's going to be a little shorter than that, but thank you so much, Dr. Yewande. Thank you to the esteemed members of the International Human Rights Commission and all honored guests. I am deeply humbled and honored to be here with you all today as the keynote speaker for the celebration of the life and legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to Dr. Yewande and for extending this invitation to me. Dr. King's legacy and message of equality, justice, and nonviolence continues to inspire me to this day, and it's an honor to have this opportunity. I'm particularly honored to be speaking on this occasion because it's a cause that I'm truly dedicated to. Dr. King's work was not in vain. He has inspired so many people around the world. I am honored to be in the presence of individuals who are committed to that same cause. Thank you again, Dr. Yewande and the International Rights Human Commission for this opportunity to speak on this important day. I look forward to sharing my thoughts with all of you, and I hope that together we can continue to work towards achieving the dream that Dr. King envisioned. As we convene here today, I would like to speak to you about the weight and the burden of the crown that many of us here share, the crown of leadership. My speech today is titled, Heavy is the Head That Wears the Crown. And I will be discussing the many challenges that Dr. King faced while fighting for civil rights and standing up to injustices, and how it is each of our responsibility to make this a fair and equitable world such as Dr. King dreamed of. Now, Dr. King was a leader, a trailblazer, and a true visionary. He stood up against the injustices of his time with courage and conviction, and he did so with an unwavering commitment to the rights of all people, regardless of their race, their religion, or their socioeconomic status. His message was simple but yet very powerful, that all people are created equal and that it is our responsibility to stand up for what is right. He was quoted as once saying, an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. But as we all know, the road to progress is often a difficult one, and Dr. King faced many challenges throughout his fight for civil rights. He faced violence, intimidation, and even death threats, but he never wavered in his belief that everyone deserves equal rights and opportunities. And even now, despite the progress that has been made in the United States over the past 60 years, the fight for civil rights is not over. Discrimination and inequality still exist in various forms, and marginalized communities continue to face systemic oppression and injustice. Racism, one of the major issues that Dr. King fought against, continues to be a pervasive problem in the United States. People of color still face discrimination in housing, education, employment, and the criminal justice system. The Black Lives Matter movement, which emerged in response to the continued police brutality against Black people, highlights the ongoing issues of racial injustice. Economic inequality is also a still major issue. Despite the progress that has been made in recent years, poverty and income inequality continue to disproportionately affect marginalized communities, particularly people of color and the working poor. The fight for civil rights is not just limited to the United States. This is a global issue. From discrimination against indigenous peoples to the global refugee crisis, marginalized communities continue to face injustice and oppression all over the world. The fight for civil rights is up to each and every one of us to continue the work that Dr. King and so many others started. Dr. King's life and legacy teaches us about the importance of leadership, speaking truth to power, and unity. He understood that true leadership is about taking action, standing up for what is right, and being willing to sacrifice for the greater good. He also understood that speaking truth to power is essential for creating a fair and just society, and that the fight for civil rights is not just about one individual or one group, but it's about all of us coming together to create the change that we desire. As we honor Dr. King's legacy today, let us take inspiration from his example and strive to continue his legacy. Let us commit ourselves to the fight for civil rights, and let us never forget that the burden of leadership is heavy, but it is a burden that we all must bear if we are to create a better world for us all to live in. Dr. King said, "The time is right, always right, to do what is right." So let us seize this opportunity to do what is right and disrupt and dismantle the worldwide system of white supremacy. Disrupting and dismantling the system of white supremacy is a complex and ongoing process that requires a multifaceted approach that starts with education. Increasing knowledge and understanding of the history and ongoing impacts of white supremacy is an important step. As we continue to honor Dr. King's legacy, let us also remember the importance of education. Dr. King believed that education was the key to breaking the cycle of poverty and discrimination, and that it was a fundamental right for all people. Dr. King recognized that education was a powerful tool for social change, and that it was necessary for people to understand the issues facing marginalized communities in order to create a fair and just society. He believed that education was necessary for individuals to develop the critical thinking skills necessary to challenge the status quo and to participate in the democratic process. It is our responsibility to educate ourselves and others on the history of racism and discrimination, about the issues facing marginalized communities, and the ways in which white supremacy is perpetuated in society. One of the most effective ways to disrupt white supremacy is by interrupting and challenging discriminatory language and behavior when we encounter it. This includes calling out racist jokes, statements, and actions, and creating a culture of acceptance and understanding. Another thing we can all do is to actively support marginalized communities. This includes using any and all privileges and resources that we have to support community-based organizations that work to empower marginalized communities and to advocate for policies that promote equality and justice. Economic inequality and discrimination are closely linked to white supremacy. Addressing economic inequality and creating an economy that provides equal opportunities for all is essential for disrupting and dismantling the system of white supremacy. Dr. King understood that economic inequality is a major driver of social and political inequality, and that true justice cannot be achieved without addressing economic issues. We must work towards creating an economy that provides equal opportunities for all, regardless of race, religion, or socioeconomic status. White supremacy is perpetuated through institutions and systems. Addressing institutionalized racism requires examining and changing policies, practices, and structures that perpetuate this discrimination and oppression. Disrupting and dismantling white supremacy requires working together across differences. Building coalitions with marginalized communities and other groups towards social justice is essential for creating a fair and just society. It is important to note that dismantling white supremacy is a long-term process that requires the active engagement of individuals, communities, and institutions. It requires a commitment to ongoing education, self-reflection, and action. Furthermore, let us all remember the importance of nonviolence as a means of resistance. Dr. King believed that violence only begets more violence, and that the only way to create a fair and just society is through peaceful means. As he once said, nonviolence is the answer to the crucial political and moral questions of our time. The need for man to overcome oppression and violence without resorting to oppression and violence. Man must evolve for all human conflict a method which rejects revenge, aggression, and retaliation. Collectively, we can all make Dr. King's dream a reality. My dear brothers and sisters, the road ahead will be rough. But as we honor Dr. King's legacy, let us continue to speak out against injustices, big and small, and come together as a community to support one another in the fight for equality and justice for all. Let us not just remember Dr. King's legacy, but let us actively work to continue it and to build our own legacy. The struggle for civil rights is not over. It will be ongoing, and it is up to us to ensure that justice prevails. But as we work towards creating a more equitable society, we must also remember that change isn't easy. Dr. King understood that change takes time and that it requires patience and persistence. We must have the same determination and perseverance that he had and not give up in the face of obstacles. In addition to understanding the responsibilities of leadership and the importance of speaking truth to power, Dr. King also taught us the power of unity and the importance of working together to achieve our goals. He understood that the fight for civil rights is not just about one individual, it's not about just one group, but about all of us collectively coming together for common goals and causes. Let us take inspiration from Dr. King's example and strive to continue his legacy. Let us commit ourselves to the fight for civil rights and make Dr. King's dream a true reality. Dr. King's message of equality and justice resonates just as strongly today as it did during his lifetime. We must continue to work towards dismantling systems of oppression and discrimination and creating a culture of acceptance and understanding. As we celebrate his legacy, let us also remember the importance of connecting with our local communities and supporting local organizations and businesses that work towards creating a positive change in our communities. Dr. King's life and legacy serves as a powerful reminder of the weight and the burden of the crown of leadership. He taught us that leadership is not just about holding a position of power, but about taking action. He understood that speaking truth to power, unity, perseverance, and nonviolence are essential in the fight for civil rights. Dr. King also reminds us that the fight for civil rights is up to each and every one of us to continue. The crown of leadership is heavy. It is a responsibility that requires sacrifice, dedication, and a commitment to ongoing education and action. Heavy is the head that wears the crown, but it is each of our weight to carry. Each one of us has the power to make a difference. We may not all be in positions of formal leadership, but we all have the power to lead by example, to use our voices and our actions to speak out against injustice and inequality. Let us be encouraged by Dr. King's example and the many other leaders who have come before us. They have shown us that even in the face of great adversity, we can stand up for what is right and work towards creating a better future for all. So let us not shy away from the weight of leadership. Let us embrace it, and let us work together to create a society where everyone is treated with fairness, dignity, and respect. We must not be discouraged by the challenges we may face, but instead we should be inspired by the progress that has been made and the progress that is yet to come. In conclusion, I would like to once again express my gratitude to Dr. Yewande and the International Human Rights Commission for inviting me to be a part of this celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. The work that the International Human Rights Commission does to promote civil and human rights is truly commendable and essential in creating this fair and just and equitable society that we speak about. The International Human Rights Commission works to protect the rights of marginalized communities and to advocate for policies that promote equality and justice. They provide a vital support system for those who are often overlooked or unseen, and their efforts help to ensure that everyone has the opportunity to live a life of dignity and respect. In an effort to support their mission, I'd like to mention my Heavy is the Head Wears the Crown self-care journals. These are 2 custom-designed 118-page spiral notebooks that are created for journaling to help you reduce your stress, manage anxiety, express your emotions, cope with depression, and much more. But a portion of these proceeds from the journal sales are being donated to the International Human Rights Commission to support their ongoing efforts to promote civil and human rights. By purchasing one of these journals, you are not only investing in your personal growth and self-reflection, but also supporting civil and human rights and the International Human Rights Commission. For those who are interested in supporting the International Human Rights Commission, there are many ways that you are able to do so. You can make a donation on their fundraising page, which the link is in the chat box, or you can volunteer your time and skills to support their ongoing efforts. Your donations will be used to support the International Human Rights Commission's programs and initiatives, including advocacy, education, and direct services to marginalized communities. In conclusion, I'd like to remind everyone that the fight for civil rights is not over and that we must continue to collaborate to create change. The crown is super heavy when you have to carry all the weight alone. The International Human Rights Commission is a vital organization in this fight, and I encourage you to support their efforts in any way you can. Together, we can make Dr. King's dream a reality. Grand Resting Dr. King, we will continue to carry your crown.
Can we all applaud our speaker? That was a wonderful speech. I think that we have hands raised for you, Ambassador. Yes, we have hands raised. If you want to take 5 minutes to answer questions, please you go to the chat room and ask our guest speaker questions, and we can all follow that way. So I think the hands are raised, but they're not being raised. So I did see. Okay. Yeah. So if there's no questions now, probably they'll have questions towards the end. I am really grateful for this opportunity to listen to her speak. If you follow Ambassador on LinkedIn, you see that Ambassador Shanta has close to 20,000 followers on LinkedIn. It's no surprise why these people stick to her page. I am one of her followers, obviously, and she's one of mine. So as a leader said, he's a religious leader anyway, he says, watch the people you follow. So for those who think I'm doing good, yes, I follow Ambassador Shanta Hereford and she follows me. I believe that statement she made is very important. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. However, it is super heavy when you have to carry the weight all on your own. That's one major statement I'm taking away from this meeting. I don't know about you, but she has said so much today. I'm really grateful, Ambassador Shanta Hereford. I know that this meeting, we organized it on short notice. This time last year, we had a 3-day, it was 3 full days, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, for Martin Luther King. Unfortunately, the impact we were expecting, we didn't get it in a whole year. We focused on education last year, and we did say we were going to have a global library. Unfortunately, I was supposed to have people donate their books, and I commissioned the global library under the name of International Human Rights Commission and World Humanitarian Organization for Peace and Equity. Unfortunately, I was the only one donating my book, so why would I commission a library where it's my books that are there? And then somebody else donated 2 copies of each of his books. And that wasn't what we were expecting, but I'm happy that Ambassador Hereford has made it easy for us. For every book that you buy, the books are in the chat room. I'm going to put them there again. So heavy is the head that wears the crown is available for global distribution, and 10% goes to International Human Rights Commission, and other percentages go to other organizations that she supports as well. This is not the only book she has, obviously. This is a journal, where you can express yourself, as she said. She also has another book coming up, which we want to launch for Black History Month, and Black History Month is fast approaching. I'm also an author in one of a chapter one of the chapters of that book. I wouldn't say the name of the book, but the book is coming out next month, hopefully. So we will be here again next month for U.S. Black History Month, and I'm hoping that my boss, His Excellency Nakimbe, who is actually the International Human Rights Commission President at large for United States of America, will be, able to chair this kind of meeting on behalf of the United States Black community, and of course I will be there as well. I want to thank everybody once again for coming. International Human Rights Commission is an organization registered out of Switzerland. With we have about 6,000 volunteers. However, with 6,000 volunteers, if you do not have the support that you need, you wouldn't be able to work. Imagine if you're a volunteer and you don't even know anything about human rights. You need to be trained. So the money that we get from our donors is what we use to train our volunteers. Some of them are lawyers already. It's easy for them, to be trained in human rights. For example, I'm a healthcare worker. I'm a member of the American College of Healthcare Executives. So for me, I might need some human rights training, but we all know that healthcare workers, for example, are not supposed to abuse the rights of their customers, which happen to be patients, though it happens. So human rights is something that everybody should learn about, so that we don't find ourselves in situations where we shouldn't be. I bring greetings from His Excellency IHRC Secretary General Professor Raful Wasik. He's supposed to attend this meeting, but he's unavoidably absent. I must thank the guest speakers once again, and I am so grateful that on short notice everybody here is here today, and I will be able to go through the list. Unfortunately, Her Royal Highness Queen Ameenata could not join us back, so that we do not take too much time. I'll quickly go to the final speaker for today, and then I can come back and give my comments. I will be introducing His Excellency Dr. O. Favour Ayodele. His Excellency Dr. O. Favour Ayodele is the founding member and chair of Vision Afrique, an organization dedicated to promoting long-term development and prosperity in Africa by Africans. He is the founder and chair of the African Intellectual Resource Organization, IRO, which is now endorsed by International Human Rights Commission, and he is the vice president of the World Economic Forum for Asia, Africa. And I'm happy that Ambassador Favour was invited, of course, by his colleague and today's keynote speaker, Madam Ambassador Shanta Hereford, to speak about how we realize Dr. King's dream. Over to you, Ambassador Sir.
Wow, this is great. I must give it to all the excellencies in the house. This is historical, fantastic. I'm so delighted that I'm here. I'm just listening. I don't know what you guys want me to speak again when Excellency Ambassador Shanta has taken over the mic. I don't know what you want me to speak. I don't know what you want me to speak. But I have just word with us. I want to say, first and foremost, Dr. Yewande, you are such an incredible woman, and thank you so much for putting all this thing together with your dear friend. And I want to appreciate all our speakers, and I want to appreciate our poet in the house. Why? I think that is the shortest, that one needs to experience award is the shortest poem I've ever had in the history of poetic delivery. That's powerful. So thank you, Honorable, for giving us such kind of wonderful poem. Once again, I want to say thank you for coming. I just have little word with us so that we can achieve the dream of a man from Alabama. A man called Martin Luther King, just according to the name of his father. But let me start from here with this short to give us a memory that Today's event is paramount, is critical. Today's event is what we must take to our being, to our DNA, and extend to the next generation. In 1776, the Declaration of, ending the slavery came up in America, was written by an African, a slave. In 1807, Britain ended the buying and selling of slaves. In 1860, America did the same. Then what is now happening, or what happened till the time and the year that this man from Alabama was born? And what happened, why this guy, this fantastic, phenomenal human being on the surface of the earth, was killed? Then what happened, why somebody like me, I'm still experiencing what happened to him, and what the most giant individual or giant nations ended centuries ago. I hope somebody is hearing me. Then what happened, why we are still having the memorial celebration of this man? When I calculated the age, at least by now, this guy will be 90-something years. And he will still be alive if he had not been killed. And of course, he's going to be president of the United States. He will have been the president of the United States. He will stay alive. Because that guy is going to be alive. So I want to believe Martin Luther King Jr. is not dead. The spirit of this guy is alive. The spirit of this phenomenon is alive. And that is why we're here. So I have a short word with us to take home and to let us understand that we are not here in vain. We are not here for fun. We are here for an important, relative, power-packed message for our generation to come. We are here to deliver the syndrome of slavery and the syndrome of zombieism to whatever continent you might think you are being oppressed. I wish Biden is on this table tonight. Of course, he's going to hear it. Everybody that has spoken eloquently, brilliantly, this message will go to the entire world, and they will know that Martin Luther King's spirit is alive. Not only that, he has passed the mantle to the carpenter. I thank you, Shanta, Her Excellency. You are such a wonderful woman. Thank you for inviting me. And thank you, Dr. Yewande. Thank you so much. This is not a joke anymore. The dream of Martin Luther King Jr. is happening as we speak. That man's spirit is here, and we are taking it from here to the next generation. We are not joking. That man was not joking. I am not joking. Nobody here is joking. The spirit of slavery is dead. The spirit of racialism is dead. The spirit of segregation is dead. The spirit of any kind of marginalization is dead. The spirit of evil in the land of the world is dead. That man's spirit is alive. Now I came to tell you that there is a law in a speech that you have never come across, and I'm going to unveil the law to you right now. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., law of superiority of the mind. The superiority of the mind. I'm repeating it again. The law of superiority of the mind. Now let me tell you. The superiority of the mind is a source of colonialism, slave trade,
segregation, hatred, racism, violence, and political power against humanity. That's superiority of the mind. And that was and is the law of Martin Luther King Jr. of the civil rights agenda. Let's fight against inequality among brotherhood, neighborhood, nations, and continent. Excuse me. How many are you here that your blood is green? If your blood is green, raise up your hand. If your blood is yellow, raise up your hand. If your blood is blue, raise up your hand. If your blood is black, raise up your hand. How many of the white people that their blood is purple? If your blood is red, just like my own, then there should not be any form of racialism in the world. So the spirit of this man is saying your blood and my blood is the same. So if you have the blood of Martin Luther King, you better come here. Let's discuss way forward. Like I said some days ago, that freedom is expensive, but not by bullets or war or violence, but by peace and love. That is what that man experienced. That is what he's saying. Love yourself, love each other, love everybody. That is the spirit that governs every spirit of darkness. You can quench fire by fire. You can only overpower fire by water. What a wonderful soul. What a beautiful soul. What a wholesome soul. What a sweet soul of that man. Oh my goodness. And you are going out of this platform today to preserve the DNA of Martin Luther King. There's nobody on the surface of the earth that resembles that man. But thank God, thank this platform, the mantle has fallen upon my shoulder, and I'm telling you right now that we are taking the mantle to the next generation. Understanding this law is the fundamental awareness that life should be taken with ease, not by superiority of the mind. When you understand that you can die anyway, even if you have 1 billion houses, if you have, I don't know the richest man in the world, I don't want to know. Let me tell you, how many feet will you get when you die? 6 feet. Small, young, old, beautiful, fat, thin, just 6 feet. You will not even know if you are alive or not. You will not even know if you have come to this world. You will not know. You are gone. We must begin to take care of this law of Martin Luther King, that nothing lasts forever. Now let me tell you, Martin Luther King says, and this is the law that we must understand, and that is why we are here. Let me tell you, that law is not for black or for white or for America, black American or black African American alone. It is for humanity. Humanity. I remember when this guy went to Washington, D.C. and he was saying some certain things. By the time he wanted to go and launch his campaign as usual, that they saw them, they were not eating. A lot of poor people are there. And it got to Washington, D.C., and they discovered that we have white people that they were also hungry. They were poor. And he turned back and he said, come on, we just have to take care of the poor. Poverty does not recognize anybody. And he said, oh boy, we are fighting for the white and for the black. Let us address our aggression to the government. Let us talk to the government that these people must be fed. And another thing came up, and he said, come on, why would United States of America launch that kind of terrible war against Vietnam, that small city, that small country, and people shut him up and said, why are you so concerned about Vietnam? This is America. You are concerned about America. He said, it's not about Vietnam, it's not about America. They are human beings. They are human beings. So that means he's not fighting for America alone. He's not fighting for me alone. He's not fighting for anybody alone. He's fighting for every one of us. That is why the spirit is alive today. We can live and be happy with someone who does not make others look inferior, but rather complement the beauty of nature, color, culture, and race. I love this woman, Her Excellency Shanta. We fight almost every day. And do you know what? She will tell me, keep moving forward. I will just laugh. We love ourselves. Ambassador Olanya, Evelyn, we love ourselves. Dr. Sebastian, we love ourselves. That is the spirit of Martin Luther King Jr. So let me tell you this. The security of the mind is the root of slave trade of our forefathers. If the white seek black equal, they won't come to Africa against the wish of Africans. They will not. If they see that we are all equal, why would they come to Africa and take some people out, and at the same time, the sellers, that is our forefathers, will not as well sold out their men, their children, their daughters. Because what? Superiority of the mind. Ladies and gentlemen, if you see yourself as superior than your fellow, then you are saying that you have every right to dominate. But I want you to think of the 6 feet tonight, that we will all die one day. The dream of Martin Luther King Jr. is for everyone, nation, continent, to stand tall irrespective of their resources and use it to develop their own land. And that is why a new Africa is possible. And it's here finally, as we be unveiling the world, the potential configuration of Africa. Here is a vision to raise the bar above limitation and set Africa free unreservedly. We are going to be free. In fact, freedom is here. Freedom is here. There's no long way to freedom anymore. Today is a day of freedom. As you see it, you have it. Here is a vision, and I believe that as we believe that the future and the food basket of the world is Africa. It's Africa. So in a nutshell, unofficially, we are announcing Vision Africa to the world as an intentional and strategic vehicle to drive, to unite, concretize, develop, and transform Africa. Because the vision by the dream of that man is here. So it's a tall order. I'm calling my brothers, my sisters, all over the world to come and join us. We are not fighting anybody. Martin Luther King in his life, he has never carried a gun and shot someone. Never. But his intellectual property, his love, his DNA says we are brothers. So we collaborate. We love you. And I want to say thank you. It is time to actualize and let the world know that Martin Luther King lives. Thank you, and God bless you. I'm grateful.
No, thank you, Ambassador. We really appreciate that very powerful message, and that's why I asked you to come and speak after me, to stir up that energy and to introduce the world to Vision Afrique and the mission and vision that we have for developing Africa by Africans and taking our destiny into our own hands and creating a more equitable society that we can all live in. So I really appreciate you taking the offer and the invitation, and I just love the energy that you just stirred up. And yes, we have some really good fights, nothing really bad, some really good ones. We're just planning and making sure that we are serving our people well. And I must say that His Excellency Ambassador Favour is a great man and a great leader under which I am blessed to serve under. And so it was a pleasure to invite him and my other brothers and sisters from Vision Afrique to join me on this platform, because we must take every opportunity to use our resources and platforms, our network, in order to amplify each other's voices and in order to make sure that we are reaching the masses, because we have some very powerful things that are taking place behind the scenes that will soon be revealed to the world. And I'm just trying to compose myself in this seat not to tell you guys everything. So as we come to the end of this event celebrating the life and legacy of Dr. King, I would like to express my sincere appreciation again to Dr. Yewande and the International Human Rights Commission for having me and my colleagues here today. It is my heartfelt thanks goes out to each one of you who have joined, who have shared your valuable insights and perspectives on the significance of Dr. King's legacy in today's world. I also want to extend my gratitude to my niece, Miss Amaryana Dyson, for the heart-touching video presentation that I presented in the beginning. Also, Ms. Da'Quela Payne for the lovely rendition of the Black National Anthem, who was here appearing from my hometown of Beloit, Wisconsin. We must always look to connect to our local communities and inspire and encourage and amplify those who are in our local networks as well as our global networks. So just keep that in mind. And also to my client, my good friend and brother here in the Metro Atlanta area with me, Mr. Poet, Mr. Patrick S. Duncan, thank you so much for that very powerful poem. Definitely appreciate that. And to all of you who have taken the time to be here with us, we thank you for your presence and for being a part of this celebration. Dr. King's message of equality and nonviolence continues to inspire us today, and it is through events like this that we can come together to remember his legacy and work towards making the world a better place for us all. So let us continue to honor Dr. King's legacy, not just today, but every day. And let's connect on LinkedIn, and let's keep the dream alive. Once again, thank you all to who participated, supported, and attended. Let us strive for a better future for all. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Yewande to close out the event. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. On behalf of International Human Rights Commission, I must say thank you to the sponsors of this event. I must say a huge thanks to Shanta LLC, Poet Patrick Duncan, Ms. Amaryana Dyson, Ms. Da'Quela Payne, and we have International Human Rights Commission endorsements for them, the Center for Truth and Healing, Building Bridges, Global Investment Group, and Vision Afrique. For the speakers, Her Royal Highness Queen Ameenata could not finish her speech. She has been endorsed by International Human Rights Commission. We have Barrister Achan, Dr. Kopulande, His Excellency Favour Ayodele, Dr. Favour Ayodele. I hope I'm not missing anybody here. Yes, they have all received International Human Rights Commission endorsements, and I am happy that when we endorse people for human rights activities that they've done, it's glaring today that they do deserve it. If your organization is involved with human rights and you need a booster, you need an organization like International Human Rights Commission to partner with, you can get in touch with myself or Ambassador Shanta. So with that being said, I must say we mustn't forget that Dr. King had a dream, and that's why we are here. Do you have a dream today, and do you want it to be achieved? The way you push for that dream to be achieved is going to, matter in life. You have to take your dream seriously, and I'm happy that this dream is not going to end here today. We will all gather together in person and online next month by His grace for the U.S. Black History Month, which of course I'm part of, because I've done the UK Black History Month and it was just a taster, and we decided that we must have a US Black History Month under the banner of International Human Rights Commission. If you go to the chat room, you see the GoFundMe link and the International Human Rights Commission link. Most importantly, we want you to get a copy of the self-care journals, Heavy is the Head That Wears the Crown. Just looking at the pictures, it's motivational. Seeing, if you look, I don't know how people see things, but from my eyes, the head of the young girl looks like a map of Africa, and the woman herself, looks like a map of Africa in the shape of a woman's face and headgear. I'm announcing now that we have a teenage department in the International Human Rights Commission, luckily headed by my daughter, who has just arrived United States of America today to study aerospace engineering. So Black people can do aerospace engineering. Yes, she is Nigerian. However, when Dr. King says there will be equality, I know people were saying, what is a Nigerian going to do in space? So if a Nigerian can dream that she wants to go to space, then I believe that African Americans, who are born and bred in America should also use that. So that's why she's the motivational speaker. I'm happy to announce that she will be in charge of promoting Heavy is the Head That Wears the Crown journal books among teenagers. We want every Black girl in America to hold Heavy is the Head journal book, and if they cannot afford to buy it, your organization can decide to buy 500 copies. Possibly myself and Ambassador Shanta, can discuss this, maybe price for large I don't want to say things I'm not supposed to say, but the ball is in her court. So we want every Black girl to have that book. And I do know that my daughter, she's very ambitious. If she says she's going to do something, she wanted to go to space since the age of 9. She's 17 today. She entered America as an unaccompanied minor. I'm speaking with you from United Kingdom. My daughter is now in the U.S. So she has signed a memorandum of understanding with myself and Ambassador Shanta. So Ambassador Shanta is going to be her mentor in the United States, while I will be her mother in the UK. So I am a mother and a mentor to the teenage ambassador for International Human Rights Commission, Miss Yewande Okunoren-Oyekenu. She will be sending out her speech, access to health care for children in U.S. prisons. You should listen to that speech, and please bring your teenage boys and teenage girls. Thank you so much on behalf of International Human Rights Commission once again, and I must say au revoir.
Peace and blessings, everyone, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you again for joining.